Big LEZ'S League, an all rugby league experience.
Hello, welcome back to Big LEZ'S League, an all rugby league experience. I'm your host, Big Les. Welcome to another episode of The Drawing Board, where we go through our SuperCoach and NRL Fantasy changes going into the upcoming round. Make sure to subscribe to the Big LEZ'S League YouTube to become a part of the Big LEZ'S League community. Let's get straight into this one. Let's go through our changes for round 22. You can probably hear the rain outside. It is absolutely torrential at the moment, so we're going to do the best that we can and get through this as quickly as possible. Not too much to touch on here really this week. Obviously having a hold week for NRL Fantasy, but for SuperCoach, we are making a few changes here and there, looking to have a double hold week for the first time of the season. A double hold week meaning we don't make any changes for SuperCoach or Fantasy next week. But we'll have to see what our score looks like. Obviously, a few outs for SuperCoach that we didn't really count on, obviously, when the just before the team list had come out, we made the post and released it. But now that I've actually had a look at the team list, there's been a few changes here and there for both teams actually going into this week, which we'll talk about on here as well. It's actually not too bad doing it after Team List Tuesday because you can sort of get an idea of who's in, who's out, rather than when I put the post out on the Tuesday morning. I don't know how the teams are going to look in terms of Team List Tuesday. So, anyway, let's get straight into it. Obviously, the highest achiever this round, it was Nathan Cleary for both SuperCoach and NRL Fantasy. For Fantasy, he got 112 points, which I think is the highest from any player that I've had on my Fantasy. So, definitely a great pick up there. For SuperCoach, 175. Looking really, really good there. Obviously, didn't captain him, which was a bit of a mistake. We'll talk about who I did captain and what their score was going into our little SuperCoach review. But yeah, look, I think that he's going to be so good over the next few weeks. I don't think they have another bye this year. And even if they do, I've got Jerome Hughes sitting in the ranks as well. So I've set up really nicely going into the rest of the year. Hopefully some good scores going into the next few weeks, just to finish off the year really strong, leading into the finals. Let's talk about in terms of reviews and stuff like that for both SuperCoach and NRL Fantasy. We'll start off with Fantasy, 948. It is the highest score for NRL Fantasy, or the second highest that we've had all season, 948. Super happy with it. As I said, it is a huge improvement from where we were at the start of the year, even from where we were last week. I think it's like 300 more than what I got last week. It was a pretty rough one. We've had some pretty rough weeks coming out of the Origin period, but this was really nice. Cleary being a big part of that, obviously getting over 100 points. Look, as I said, looking to hold this week, just playing with the 17 that I have. I've got 17 players playing. And obviously over the past few weeks as well, during that Origin period, we've had games where we've had 12 players, 11 players playing when we've had Origin outs and injuries at the same time. But yeah, looking to have a hold week, hopefully get near that 1,000 score for Fantasy. That is the goal. As for SuperCoach, 1,096. Look, it was a bit of a rough turn after the Cleary game, or before the Cleary game, I should say. My captain was Tom Trbojevic, and my premise around having Tom Trbojevic coming into the side and having him as the captain was that he is going to get a really nice looking draw going into the rest of the year after this bye. Obviously, he's out this week for me, which is a little bit of a blow. We've got Jaden Campbell who's coming in, who's going to do a pretty decent job for us. But, my premise was him coming in, he's going to be the captain straight away, leading into this great draw that he has going into the rest of the season. He's going to get some good scores. So no way whatsoever am I thinking about trading Tom Trbojevic. Did I get him maybe a week or two early? Yes, but I've got him in there now. No thought whatsoever of trading him going into the rest of the year. Cleary, though, very, very successful coming into my side. And we'll sort of talk about the trades that we're doing going into this week. As I said, it is just a little bit more of a cleanup week, what I said on the post. Slowly recovering from what was a nasty Origin hangover, is what I said here on the post. Look to do some tiny changes here, some tidying up around my side over the next couple of weeks, and that is exactly what we will be doing. So, trades. Obviously, as I said, Fantasy is a hold week. We aren't making any trades this week. For SuperCoach, it is a little bit different. As I said, a bit of cleaning up, bit of housekeeping, you can call it. But the outs for SuperCoach is Jacob Gagai. He comes out this week. So does Suafailongo. Jacob Gagai, I just don't see him getting the scores that he did over the past few weeks. It was good to get him in while I did, and obviously it was the fun was good when it lasted. But I think that the Jacob Gagai period for SuperCoach is well and truly ended. He's out. For me, Suafailongo, is he going to be in the 17? Is he going to be coming off the bench for most weeks? I think so. Unless he was starting, I just think it's not worth it anymore for Suafailongo. Only plays the last 5 minutes, for the last 10 minutes of a game. I think that you just got to get him out now if you've got him in the side, particularly in the situation that I was in where he was in my starting team for a few weeks. I had to get him out, and I think you're going to like the changes that I've made. So, had a little bit of extra cash after last week's trade, which is surprising because I brought in both Nathan Cleary and Tom Trbojevic. So we got Jacob Cleary'S in this week. I think that I've got him just the right time. I think the Dogs, they have a really sweet draw going into the end of the year. And regardless of the draw, the Dogs are playing great footy. And a big proponent of that is Jacob Cleary'S out there on the wing. The work that he gets through with his kick returns, just everything that he does, the little things he does in a game, him in contact is so strong. He gets plenty of meters. He's going to be getting plenty of points over the next few weeks. That average is going to go up and up and up. And I think I've really come in at the right time. Would I have wanted to get him a few weeks back? 100%. And just really, take that advantage with the scores that he's had over the past few weeks. But look, I've got him now, and I'm very happy I've got him now. I think that you've got to go ahead and have a look at him if you can afford him, especially leading into the rest of the year. He's one of those guys in the back line that is just going to be getting points galore. I've got a bit of a cheapie that I don't think we'll be seeing out the rest of the year, but I think could come in this week to the bench depending on team list. I need to actually double check Para and what their team list is looking like going into this week. But the other guy is Jake Tungo. And Jake Tungo comes in. He's just going to be, as I said, sitting on the bench. He is playing this week, so he might come in to my side. He got 40 last week. It's not the worst scores from him. He does get through a bit of work, and I feel like he's getting better and better by the week. He is just going to be one of those guys who, if you're having a few buys, you just bring him in to play a few, to play, obviously, in that week. As a reserve. I think that's the same sort of idea I've got here for him, just so I could bring Cleary'S into the side. He's playing first grade at the moment, Jake Tungo. I'd take advantage of that if that is the play you want to go for and you have a few trades up your sleeve. Speaking of trades, how many trades have I got left? For SuperCoach, I've got 10. For Fantasy, I've got 9. So as I said, not wasting those whatsoever. Just going to have a few hold weeks here and there leading into the rest of the season and then making the changes that I need to make going into those last few weeks of the competition. Now, SuperCoach, how am I looking for this coming week? As I said, Jaden Campbell, he goes into fullback. Jacob Cleary'S goes onto the wing. My centers are still Blaze Talangi and KL Iro. Dom Young is on the other wing. Burton and Cleary are the halves. Cleary is my captain this week. Jaden Campbell is my vice. I've got Aden Fanua, Blake, and Terrell May still up front. Terrell May has really hit a bit of a wall at the moment, and he'll be definitely on watch over the next few weeks, especially since he's coming off the bench now. Blake Brayley there in the number 9. Again, another guy that's hit a bit of a brick wall. And when I'm tidying up over the next few weeks, he might be a guy that I look to get out. Angus Crichton, Tallis Duncan. Tallis Duncan has been a huge pickup for me mid-season. He's really started to hit a real ceiling. And since playing 80 minutes, he's coming off the bench this week, which is a little bit worrying. But since playing 80-minute games, he got 81 this week as well, which is a big proponent as to why my score was quite good. Josh Curran there at 13. And then I've got Tamade Martin, who I'm going to be taking off my bench and putting in Jake Tungo, because Tamade Martin is in the reserves for the Warriors this week. Chanel Aristevita, he keeps his spot in the number 6. Jerome Hughes, Fanua Bole and Jack DeBellin is the rest of my bench. So, yeah, Tamade Martin, he will either be swapped for Liam Henry or Jake Tungo. I'll have to figure that out leading into close to the game day. As for Fantasy, we have KO Weeks fullback Dom Young and Jack Bostock on the wings, Jacob Cleary'S and Jack Whiten in the centers. I've got Cleary and Jerome Hughes in the halves. Cleary is my captain. Hughesy is my vice. Paddy Carrigan and Tom Hazelton. Well, not Tom Hazelton anymore because he's out. But looks like I'll have Sam Hughes going into the starting front row. And I think I brought in, Let me just double check my fantasy. I'll double check who I brought in for the bench. I brought Cody Walker back onto the bench for Sam Hughes. So Sam Hughes goes into the starting side. Tom Hazelton injured. And I brought in Cody Walker because I thought that Cody Walker was going to be out. So I put him into the emerging, and then it looks like he's playing. So I've chucked him onto the bench. If he doesn't end up playing, that's going to be big for me. He's obviously gone down with that calf at the back end of that game for the Rabbitohs on the weekend against the Raiders. So he's pretty much on a bit of a watch at the moment. And obviously the boys at Rabbitohs Radio that I'm working with at the moment are going to go down to the captain's runs and sort of suss out if he's training, if he's not. By the way, as well, some weird vibes. Peter Mamanzolis didn't train all week last week and still managed to play. He's in the reserves this week, so take from that what you will. But going through the rest of this side, as I said, Sam Hughes in the front row, Paddy Carrigan, Reid Marnie at 9, Curran, Howarth back row. I've got Max Plath at 13, and then my bench is Casey McLean, Tomato Martin, Cody Walker, and Kale Iro. Looking like a pretty decent bench there. For fantasy going into this week, as I said, the goal for fantasy is going to be to crack that 1,000 score. As for SuperCoach, looking just to keep a really solid score and then obviously tidying up where I can here and there. But as I said, aiming for a hold week next week. That is the goal for us. Make sure if you haven't already, as I said, to subscribe to the Big LEZ'S League YouTube, become a part of the Big LEZ'S League family, the community here at Big LEZ'S League. All of the socials will be in the description, and we'll see you guys in the next one.